Welcome to the Clique podcast. I'm Dani, a mindset and manifestation expert and founder of the Clique, a company that helps women overcome their fears and limiting beliefs to create a life and business that they love. Within this podcast, I will help you get clear on what you want, identify the blocks that are holding you back, transform your mindset and raise your vibration so that you can co-create magic with the universe. If you are looking to design a life that truly sets your soul on fire and manifest more success and abundance, then you are in the right place. Hello ladies, how are we all? So before we get started today, I just wanted to give you a quick reminder that if you haven't done so yet, we offer a free course. The course is designed for anybody who is looking to become a coach, who thinks that pursuing a career as a life coach is the path for them, but wants to get a little bit more clarity around what it takes to become a coach, how to coach clients, how to set up a coaching business online, and everything that sort of is involved with the whole process. So as I said, we offer a free course and you can sign up at wearetheclique.com/free course. Okay, so that's wearetheclique.com/free course. And as I said, it's for anybody that is looking to become a coach, that's an aspiring coach. It is a super in-depth course and it will really help you get started on your journey. So let's jump into today's episode then. And this is a topic that I get quite excited about talking because I've had a number of experiences now where I have used the process of sleep to actually manifest certain things in my life. And why I love talking about this topic is that it just kind of goes to reiterate that getting what we want in life doesn't always have to be the product of doing. If we think about what we're doing when we're sleeping, we're doing nothing. We're laid down, our eyes are closed, we're obviously breathing, but in terms of taking action, we're not doing anything at all. And some of my most powerful manifestations have been off the back of using sleep as a tool to manifest my desires. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about how this is achieved, but let me start by just sharing one of my experiences of using sleep to really manifest something into my life. So one of my goals, going back a couple of years ago, one of my sort of goals that I was working towards was an income goal. And it was my sort of next big milestone that I wanted to hit within my business. And it was hitting my first 100K month. And I remember at the time when I first kind of decided that that would be my next sort of big income goal that I wanted to hit, I knew that I had a lot of resistance towards that goal. So I did a lot of work on my money mindset and kind of changing my beliefs around money and what it would take to hit that kind of income. But one of the things I also did to really manifest this goal was I started to think about the goal every night before I went to bed. And I would almost kind of created this little ritual for myself, this manifestation ritual where I think about the goal. And this manifestation ritual, it started basically because I felt like I'd been doing a lot of things in terms of my mindset to get towards this goal, but for whatever reason, it hadn't yet come into my reality. Okay, so I thought, you know what, I'd been listening to, I think I'd actually been reading a book, Dr. Joe Dispenza. I think that's where I started to kind of explore the idea of sleep. But anyway, I was delving into more around how the subconscious mind works and how the subconscious mind creates our reality. And I was learning about how just before you sleep, or even just when you wake up in the morning, that is when your brain starts to shift into those sort of that deeper brainwave state. So you start to kind of enter into a theta brainwave state where you are way more receptible to the things that you're hearing. So theta is a very, very relaxed state, a brainwave state. And within that state, it's actually the state that as children, this is the state that our brains largely operate in, which is why kids just absorb everything there is around them and just are very quick at learning things. So this is the state we often enter into before, as we're sort of drifting off to sleep at night. And so I was learning about this and learning about the different brainwave states and how the subconscious mind works. And I thought, you know what, for this goal, I want to start using the power of sleep more to help me manifest, to help reprogram my subconscious mind so that I can call this 100K month into my reality. Remember, when it comes to law of attraction, a big part of what we're manifesting is a product of our belief system, okay? The subconscious beliefs being, the biggest driving force here. So what I wanted to do was to use sleep to really reprogram my subconscious mind. Now, what was really fascinating was that I started, and I'll kind of go into this process in a little bit more detail in a second, but I started to really visualize and connect with that version of me that had already hit my 100K month. And one of the specific visualizations that I connected with was the exact moment that happened, when, I looked in my bank account, it wasn't looking in my bank account, it was looking at, we use Stripe as our payment processor. So it was looking at our Stripe account. This is where the money from my business typically will go before it reaches my bank account. It will be in my Stripe account. So that's the thing that I would check first. And the visualization was really me seeing in my Stripe account this exact figure. And I connected so vividly with that moment that, I even knew what I was wearing. And for whatever reason, I imagined myself, when I kind of connected with this vision, I saw myself and I was wearing this dress. And, it wasn't a dress that I owned at the time. I don't even know why, when I saw myself, I was wearing a very specific style of dress. It was kind of like a maxi dress, and it was sort of a bit kind of like off-shouldery, and it had sort of like a ditzy sort of florally pattern. I didn't own a dress like this in my wardrobe at the time, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to run with this. If this is how I'm seeing myself in this moment, this is what I'm going to connect with. Anyway, fast forward to me hitting my goal. Okay, fast forward to me hitting my goal. And it was actually, we're kind of talking about at least a good 6 months afterwards. Okay, fast forward to me hitting that goal. And I hadn't been doing the sleep process for a while, with full disclosure. So I'd done it I'd say I did it for a good month, where I was kind of doing this solidly, right? And then I kind of set it to one side, and, I trusted that was enough. I'd visualized, I'd connected with my desire of hitting this £100,000 month, and that desire was already in motion. Okay. So I ended up then hitting this goal. And what was really, really interesting, maybe you guys have guessed already where this story is going, but I was wearing pretty much the same dress that I had thought about within my first visualization. And for whatever reason, I'd completely forgotten about this dress. It was something that I just got so used to seeing. I just completely forgot about this dress. And this dress has ended up becoming something that I'd bought perhaps maybe like a week earlier, and I bought it. And when I bought this dress, I didn't think about it. I didn't think about my visualization at all. It was almost like I'd kind of forgotten about me in that vision. And so I bought this dress, and then it happened to be the dress that I was wearing at the moment that I hit my 100K month. The moment that I was checking my Stripe account, I was wearing this dress. And it actually was sort of a day or two afterwards when I realized this, because whenever I hit any of my goals, I like to reverse engineer the process. So I like to think, okay, I'm here now. Great. Let's celebrate this and how amazing it was. But how did I get here? What was the things that I did to achieve this goal? And the reason why I love doing this is because I love to teach other women, how the things that I've been able to achieve, how it can be possible for them as well. And I want to take other women, and especially our students within the Clique Academy, I want to take them through that process of what really works for me, so they can basically recreate that. Okay, so I like to, whenever I get to a goal, I like to take a step back and think, what worked for me? Like what really was the driving vehicle that helped me towards that goal? And something that was really quite evident was this evening ritual, how I'd used the process of sleep. You know, I'd done this for quite a significant amount of time, and I knew that that definitely had a role to play. And it was only when I started to think about that I connected the dots. And I was like, wait a second, was I not wearing a dress that, okay, it wasn't identical. It wasn't, the colours of the flowers was a little bit different, but pretty much the same style, right? It was a maxi dress, off the shoulder maxi dress with this sort of ditzy floral pattern, a little bit of a different colour, but pretty much the same dress. And you know what? It's moments like this where I just get goosebumps because it feels magic. It's like you see something in your mind and you get it. It's like, you know, it just makes me realize just how magical this whole law of attraction process is, but also, you know, how real it is and how, you know, just getting so clear and so connected with what you want, you can make it happen. So I want to now just take you through then this, how I used sort of manifestation and used the power of sleep to manifest. Because again, like I want you to be able to experience this for yourself. I know that how powerful it can be. And it's something now that I will do pretty frequently, especially if I've got sort of a larger goal that I'm working towards. At the time of recording this, one of my kind of big goals is I'm looking to buy a house. It's going to be a house in Mallorca, potentially a house that is going to be our full-time home. Like we're potentially thinking about myself and my family relocating to Mallorca and that becoming our full-time home. So I have been using this process, this sleep ritual, to really kind of manifest this dream home into existence. And we've actually, at the time of recording this, it's still a bit up in the air as to when we can travel, but you know, as soon as we can travel, we are planning to go, and we've got some houses lined up that we're going to see. But I'm digressing. I'm using this process again. So I want to share it with you. And as I said, hopefully, you know, you can have the same kind of amazing results that I've had using this exact process. So going back to what I said earlier then, so the thing with sleep, and this is either when we're just waking up in the morning or we're just going to bed at night, is that our brains are really susceptible, okay? So whatever we're feeding our mind before we go to sleep, it's often going into the subconscious mind and it's kind of repeating itself as we sleep. It's getting locked further and further into our subconscious programming as we sleep. Now, maybe you've experienced this before, where you've watched something just before you go to bed. And it's something that's pretty negative. So maybe it's like a really kind of horror movie or like a really violent TV show. And you've either gone to sleep and maybe you've kind of dreamt about it. So maybe you've had a bad dream or you've been thinking about it. Or maybe you've perhaps not really remembered your dream, but you've woken up and you've got this real sort of anxiousness feeling in your stomach. How many of you have experienced that before? And I know I have, and I know I have to be really mindful of what I consume before I go to sleep, because I know now how much that information is going to impact how I feel, my vibration, and also my mind and what I'm thinking about and what I'm reinforcing into my belief system. I went through a phase and I was hooked on these sort of like TV shows, like you may have heard of it. There's this TV show called The Queen of the South, which is on Netflix. It's about sort of like the Mexican drug cartels. I went through a phase of being really hooked on that type of show. And I was watching them. I was binge watching them before I went to bed. And then I would wake up in the morning with like severe anxiety. It was almost as if I'd relived that experience within my sleep, over and over again. And so this just goes to show like what we focus on before we go to bed has a huge impact on what we're thinking about whilst we are asleep, what we're reinforcing with our thoughts, and then also on our energy as well. So if we start to think about what we want and what we want to create more of, we can actually use sleep to our advantage here. Because let's say you go to bed and you are thinking about something really desirable that you really, really want to bring into your life. So maybe it's a dream home, maybe it's a soulmate, maybe it's a new car, maybe it's a trip you want to take, maybe it's a success within your business that you want to achieve, whatever it is. If you think about it, if you connect with that vision before you go to sleep, there's going to be certain things that happen. First of all, again, you're tapping into that subconscious mind because you're catching yourself when you are drifting off to sleep. Okay, so when you're entering into that theta brainwave state, so whatever narrative you're feeding your mind at that moment, that is getting reinforced into your subconscious programming. Okay, you're basically changing the pattern of thoughts within your subconscious brain to adopt this new image that you're feeding it. Okay, so what you're doing is you're telling your subconscious mind that this has already happened. The brilliant thing about the subconscious mind is that it can't distinguish between things that have actually happened and things which you have imagined. Okay, so let's say, for example, if you go to sleep and you have a bad dream, often you wake up and there's that physical feeling in your body. Maybe you feel a bit anxious, you feel a bit stressed. You wake up in a bit of a bad mood. It's because your subconscious mind, it can't distinguish whether that was something you imagined or if that was something that actually happened to you. So you kind of live that trauma as if that was real. But the opposite can be true as well. So if we're creating this really empowering visualization of what we want, your subconscious mind just assumes that that's already happening. You're telling your subconscious mind, this is already happening. That's what you're reinforcing as you go to sleep. And then because when you are asleep, often what we dream about and what is running through our brain as you fall asleep is often connected to the things that have occurred through your day, but more importantly, the things that you were thinking about just before you drifted off. And so this is where the magic really kicks in, because you then have, let's say you sleep for 8 hours, without you perhaps even realizing it. Sometimes we don't remember necessarily what our brain was doing when we were sleeping. Sometimes we do remember our dreams, but sometimes we don't. But it doesn't mean that our brain just wasn't doing anything. Quite often our brain is focusing on or repeating or trying to process whatever it was we've been thinking about throughout the day, specifically the things just before we went to bed, the things we were thinking about just before we went to bed. So let's say you're thinking about something that you really want to happen. You close your eyes, you go to sleep, you're in that deeply receptive state so that you're, really tapping into that subconscious mind. You're telling your subconscious mind, this has already happened. You're playing that visualization through your mind and you're in this relaxed state. Then you go to sleep and your brain continues to play out that narrative. It continues to connect with that visualization. You've then maybe got, the opportunity for around, 8 hours or something, depending on how long you sleep for, where, you're really connecting with your desires. And you are, by doing so, you are giving a lot of power to what you want. You are setting the wheels in motion for your desires to come true, for those desires to manifest. And you're not having to do anything. You're not having to take any action. You're just lying there. You're just asleep, right? And then you wake up in the morning, and what do you think happens when you've gone to bed thinking really empowering thoughts? How do you think you're going to wake up in the morning? You're going to wake up and you're instantly going to be vibrating at a higher frequency. Now contrast that with, and this is something that a lot of people will do, and they do so by default. They will go to bed and they'll think of all of the things that they didn't do that day, or they'll worry about things that have happened, or they'll worry about their future. And remember, whatever you focus on expands. And so if you're thinking about those things just before you go to bed, you've then got this window when you're asleep, when you've got no sort of, conscious control over where your mind is going because you're asleep. And so it's going to wander to whatever you've been thinking about. So this is why we need to be so intentional about what we're thinking before you drift off at night. Okay. And then often, if you go to bed and you're worrying about something, maybe you've experienced this before. How do you feel when you wake up? Do you feel amazing? Do you feel positive? Do you feel hopeful, optimistic, high vibe? Probably not. And remember, that's going to have a big impact on what you're manifesting. If you're waking up each day and you're vibrating at a lower frequency, what kind of things are you calling into your life? Or what kind of things are you holding away from you because of your vibration? We call into our things, call into our life rather, the things that we are a vibrational match to. So for us to manifest positive experiences, positive people, manifest abundance, success, amazing relationships, we need to be vibrating at a positive frequency. And that frequency, we're experiencing it as we sleep. But then when we wake up, we want to make sure that we're vibrating at our most positive self. Because what I found, and you may experience this as well, is that how you start the day tends to set the tone for how the rest of your day is going to go. So have you ever had that sort of experience where you wake up and you are in a bad mood? In the UK, we say, I got up on the wrong side of the bed. You get up and, things go from bad to worse straight away. So maybe you get up, you stump your toe, you go downstairs, you make your coffee, you spill half of it down yourself, you realize you're late, you're in a rush, you're feeling quite negative. Maybe you are heading out somewhere and let's say you miss your train or, just things go from bad to worse. And then you get to the end of the day and you're like, oh, that was just one of those days. Thank God that is over. Why is that? Why do you see that sort of that chain of events where things just go from bad to worse? It is your energy, right? What you are vibrating at is attracting the next thing that happens to you. Okay, so for you to have a chain of events that's positive, you want to start your day in a positive way. And this again starts with how you go to bed at night. So let's then just go through what that ritual looked like for me. Now, there's no, I guess with any of sort of these rituals, I just want to share what really, really worked for me, but you may decide to adapt this ritual to kind of fit for yourself. But it very much is quite similar to, I guess, some of the things that I do first thing in the morning as well. So the visualization process. Why I love doing this in the evening is because it doesn't really take much. And this will normally be the thing that I'm doing as I drift to sleep. Okay, so let's just kind of reverse engineer it. So the very final thing before I go to sleep will be visualizing. So rather than just closing my eyes and just thinking about, letting my mind wander anywhere or worrying about what I've got to do tomorrow or just going through my mental to-do list, I'm being really intentional about my thoughts. What is the desire I'm working towards? What does that look like? But what I'm doing here is I'm bringing in as much specific detail as possible. Okay, so I'm almost kind of going into this sort of internal scene where I can see myself, I can see what I'm wearing, I can see what I'm doing, who I'm with, what I'm feeling, what I'm seeing in front of me, what my hands are doing, who I'm talking to. I can see and feel all of it. I can hear all of it. Okay, and it's almost like I just kind of play out that scene. What I quite like to do, I quite like to take a part of my goal and think about what would actually happen in that exact moment. For me, manifesting that desire, what's going on in that specific moment. So, for example, like that hitting that £100,000 month, I would be connecting with me sitting down, and thinking where I am, like what I'm kind of who I'm with at the time, what I'm wearing, but me sitting down in front of my computer, logging into my Stripe account and seeing the figure that I wanted to see on the screen. That's the sort of detail, that's the sort of event that I would connect with. Or, an alternative event could be, okay, I've hit that goal and I'm out celebrating. And I'm talking with my partner and I'm saying to him, oh my goodness, I can't believe we've done it. We've hit this goal. It's so amazing to feel this way. We're talking about, what we're going to reinvest that money into, the things that we're going to spend that money on, how we're going to use that to grow the business even more. So I'd get into the real specifics. So that would be the thing that I would do just before, I'd go to bed. It'd be that visualization process. But then taking it a step back from that, using the written word. So kind of the same as visualization, but rather than just thinking it through in my mind, writing out a detailed description of the goal, of me in that moment. Who am I when I achieve that goal? Like, not just what I'm achieving, but who is the woman that I am becoming in order to get to that desired goal? Okay, and I'd be writing out that detailed description. So again, it might be writing out exactly what I'm doing the moment I check that Stripe account, what I'm wearing, who I'm speaking to. Okay, so it's the internal visualization, the visualization written down, pen to paper. And then the step before that would be the affirmations. So just, I am so happy and grateful to have hit £100,000 this month. I am so happy and grateful to have hit £100,000 this month. So I'm saying my statement, I am, as if that goal has already manifested for me. And it's not just speaking the words and going through the motions. It is saying the words and fully believing it. Okay, feeling how it would feel, exactly how it would feel if that goal was already something that I'd achieved that month. Okay, so it's just those 3 simple steps: the visualization, the journaling, and the affirmations. So the great thing is it doesn't need to take a long time. And I know that, especially for me now, I've got a 2-year-old. The time of recording this, my son is 16 weeks old, so not even 4 months. I need to be very, very efficient with my time, and things that are going to take hours and hours for me, those kind of hourly long mindset rituals don't always fit into my day anymore. I have to be kind of realistic about what is possible for me and the time that I have. But so it's really super simple, and so it doesn't need to take a long time, but it can be very, very powerful. And this is one of those things that it needs to become habitual. Just as you don't go to the gym once and you get a 6-pack, you don't just do this process once and all of a sudden your desires turn up and show up on your lap. Okay, but at the same time, I don't necessarily believe that you need to do a specific ritual continuously until the desire manifests. Okay, so when it comes to how long you do this ritual for, it's going to be based upon when you are feeling aligned with your goal. Okay, so this is going back to what I said earlier. I hit the goal, but I had stopped doing this evening ritual, a good sort of few months earlier. Okay, so I wasn't doing it continuously up until I hit the goal. Why did I stop? Well, a part of me just started to feel as if the goal was already a done deal. Okay, so I got almost this sense of knowing, this sense of expectation that it was going to be happening in the next, few months, definitely within the space of the next half of the year. And it was just this very calm, grounded sense of knowing. It was almost like it was just, I knew it was a done deal. Kind of like when you order something, let's say you order something on Amazon and, your payment goes through and you get your email confirmation. You know that order is a done deal. You know that your stuff is going to, arrive at your house, the day after or whatever. And you're not kind of thinking about, oh God, what if my stuff doesn't show? Like, is it going to come or not? Like that kind of unknown anticipation. The energy is one of expectation. It's like, I'm going to forget about it because it's a done deal. And I got to a point with this goal, with this hitting this 100K month, that I realized that I don't really need to be doing this anymore. I just know. I don't feel like I need to kind of keep working on my mindset and reiterating this goal because I just know it's going to show up. And I felt like by continuing to kind of just go through the process of, visualizing and stuff, it was almost as if to say that, I still need to work on this. I still need to connect with this goal, to strengthen my mindset that it's coming. I was already there. Okay. And so this was at the point then I was like, okay, I can just relax now. I can surrender. I can just completely let go. I've done my part of the process. Now it's for the universe. Now it's for the universe to show up and just provide it to me. And I'm fully trusting that it is on its way. Okay, so yeah, so for me, it was doing it. I did the process for a couple of months, I'd say. And then, it was, I can't remember exactly, but it was, a chunk of time. And then probably no more than 6 months, I would say, probably even less actually, that my 100K month actually happened. And yeah, what a magical experience that was. So hopefully that has given you some idea of the process. But if you've got any questions about this, as always, reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram, Dani Watson Coaching. Send me a DM if you've got any questions from anything, from any of these podcast episodes. I am more than happy to get back to you. And equally, if you've got ideas for topics that you would like to hear covered on this podcast as well, definitely reach out to me and I will take those into consideration. But as always, it was an absolute pleasure connecting with you all, and I look forward to catching you again on the next episode. Bye, ladies. If you are wanting to build your own successful online coaching business, make sure to check out Freedom, Abundance and Impact, our free 10-day business and mindset course for coaches and aspiring coaches. To access, simply head to wearetheclique.com and click free course in the menu.